kept showing up. They kept putting the work in, and just lift that trophy and prove me wrong yet again.
Hey, when it comes to proving the doubters wrong, Tiff, it's about lighting a fire under a lot of these legends' butts. And that's what happens when the group stages also have something on the line. That's actually what I like when it comes to looking at the current format that we had here in the mid-season playoffs, as our legends are geared and ready to go, guys. I'm hearing the music in the background, and everybody has been loaded in. But while we get to go in and we get to highlight, you know, what the group stage provides before getting started with that first game, top 14 teams out of the 40 will be able to advance to the finals, right? So then when you take a look at the 15th to 34th placing spot, they then have to play through that gauntlet of a day of 10 games within the survivor stage. And we have to re-emphasize this, right? Because this is already what kickstarts how a lot of these teams are looking at the start of today with our first two groups.
You know, I asked if we had torches that we could snuff if we're going for a survivor. I can make it happen.
Bring in the torch yourself. Hold on.
I might. Is there room for a torch in the caster booth? No, I'm just kidding. I digress. We're just having a little bit of fun here on day one as we get ready to drop into Group A versus B. Now, we talked a lot about the Falcons. We briefly mentioned Shopify Rebellion, but there's just so many other teams that we really love to highlight. And when we spoke about gaming gladiators, that's when the crowd started lighting up. They have a ton of family out here, and you think back to, do you remember the team Ascend that took second place to PSM back in the day? You know, Lufka was on that roster, right? And now Lufka here on Gaming Gladiators, ready to lock it in. They've been kind of up there in the upper echelon, but haven't necessarily closed it out, right? But this could be a title contending team this week.
It's great to be able to hear the amazing support in the crowd here when you mentioned Gaming Gladiators. But you know, a big matchup that I also have my eyes on is going to be Falcons versus Zeta Division. That's definitely something when it comes to how some of these rotates. Well, we have those City Hall zones like you were mentioning, right? And it comes to how some of these teams have been able to make that rotation, whether it be Falcons coming out of Stadium side, and then looking ahead to see how their Zeta Division specifically will be coming out of Street Market, which won't be as resistant considering that they are already on the west side of E District. But that is considering, Tiff, that it wouldn't be maybe a Humber Lab zone that we've also seen plenty of times. So a lot on the line here too, but I like how you are able to highlight not only these different teams coming out of these different regions. Sunny looks so locked and loaded.
They're ready.
Girl, it's crazy.
I'm ready.
I'm ready when it comes to talking about stories. We talk about all these high echelon teams, but then specifically Ty, who was able to make their way into this land. They were originally placed 20th, and being able to come out of the LCQ to actually qualify into something like this in the finals is just so beautiful to see, as a lot of our teams are just getting ready and waiting to load into our first game of the day.
Yeah, you mentioned TIE, right? And we kind of got a brief moment of their walkout. They were feeling really good about themselves. And that's interesting to me because we're talking about, you know, Hita, F-Chan, Umi. So, like, these are players, especially F-Chan, that have been a staple in the ALGS scene since Raleigh, right? We're going all the way back then. ALGS champs that year, like 2022. That's 4 years ago, Vicky. I don't know where the time is going, but all two players, especially hailing from APAC North, have just spent year 6 kind of trying to level up, right? They undergo a massive roster swap at the head of the year. You talked about Zeta, right?
I'm lurking in the drawing session probably.
You put F without Fnatic is so wild. And we already talked about that, you know, months ago, but seeing the fruition of all that they've done to lock it in. Think about the regular split, right? You could hit 100 kills during the regular season. Right on that roster, 99. And even though Suzuki there on the anchor still locked in so many kills. That is a firepower team. So if you're talking about them locking down Street Market and E District, dude, if I'm flat in Viaduct, I'm like, let me just take the long way around.
And it depends on, you know, how that zone pool is going to influence a lot of the way that these teams want to take these early game fights, right? The teams that want to be able to display confidence, kind of set the stage for us, especially since we only have our first 3 games on E District. And as you guys know, we're just waiting for our legends to lock in here, guys. But while we get set up, I'm hearing that we got some content here on the horizon before we get started for our very first game. It's here! BK Gaming!
Taster thinks this is a game. It's not.
All that matters is being the last one alive.
Have you prepared for AM? I have. Good luck, have fun, don't die.
Can you feel that? The heat of the flame calls for us all.
What can I say? I'm a bit competitive. It runs in my blood.
Struggled in finals, have this game in their hands, and it's now their chance. LG are down, and the Lions will do it!
Hope you're not afraid to get your hands dirty.
Yes, we are so good, and I am especially really good.
When did Apex started?
Apex it's already started now, but they not yet though. They already do the walkout.
Okay.
Now they're doing the intro, I guess.
Okay.
You and me, let's take this win.
With goosebumps and the pure
My
Apex
God, my
Legends
heart
experience,
gonna
you can cue the John
stop.
Williams music because I am ready to go, especially after watching a video like that one, Tiff.
What is it with those Apex Legends hype videos that just
Maybe
really
I
get the
just
blood
got a
flowing?
really
I'm ready, right? The
dangerous
energy
clutch.
is there. It's who's going to be there at the end of the week, but we start with just one game, and you take it
we're
game
gonna
by
start
game,
soon.
day by day. You get out of the Survivor stage, you lock in your ticket to that
Got it.
grand finals. But
Are
it
you
all
doing
starts.
Apex or are you doing
You
Valorant?
heard it. You heard the quotes.
I'm doing Valorant
Getting
now,
ready,
but
guys. Thank you so
I'm
much for your
gonna
patience.
just
We want to
switch
make
to
sure
Apex
that everybody
later.
Okay,
is
okay.
ready to go to dive into our first game. And once again, for those of you guys just tuning in right now, our first 3 games will be played on E District before we transition into the last 3 games of this first Group A versus B into Stormpoint.
I feel like a lot of teams are focusing on those last 3 matches of the day on
3
Stormpoint to get the majority of their
matches.
points, especially after you already figure out how is this
E
lobby,
District?
what's the pace of play that we're looking at, what are our favored bands that we're tossing those legends, right? We're getting them
E
out, but we are just
Districts,
moments
okay.
away. They're in that character select. They're looking at their legends. We're looking at who's going to be, you know, getting some crazy things. If
Please
something
start
would be
fast
changing.
before
I
I
don't
need
see
to
any changes
leave.
too
I
much,
think I'm gonna
right? I'm
miss
still
like
seeing the
match
cryptos.
2
I'm
and
still seeing
3.
the Seers, Vicky.
I know Seer's been a pain on the side for some of you that's been climbing through the ladder. You know, despite some of the changes that we've been seeing, man, that's stunning, let me tell you.
He still lives.
It's a little obnoxious. Sometimes it gives me a little bit of PTSD when I think back at season 10, but then I remember, you know, at least there's no damage coming out there, no silence, no canceling my reses, but it's still
You can
having that
win. Let's go.
awareness as we get to see the fans in the crowd, Tiff.
That is always a
No
great
fanatic.
sight to see.
Zeta,
If
Zeta,
you
Zeta
have
now.
one fan,
Oi,
I am one
oi,
of
oi.
the millionaire out there, which he does have a million. He's a staple to
You
the
can
ALGS. And to
end
kick things
Zeta
off
now,
here
but
in game
there is
number 1
fanatic.
of Group A versus B, let's get into it.
Let's get started, everybody. I'm seeing our
I
legends
watched
are coming out
Apex
of the
Pro
dropship. It's going to
games
be
for
E-District
almost
as we get
5
set
the
up
whole
here
5 years,
at the
but
ALGS
oh my God.
Esports World Cup. It's our
gonna
playoffs, and a
send
lot of our
Zeta
legends I'm
win
already
pick.
seeing here, Tiff. Is this 100% pick rate on crypto?
I mean, it might be.
I'm
that-
not surprised,
We're-
actually.
We're not surprised.
What?
These are things
Why
that
is
we
it
have
like
been
that?
witnessing, but we'll likely get those
100%
legend
pick
bans
rate
right
on
out of the way. So for the teams that are going to
crypto.
excel on E-District, let's make it happen.
Okay, we're on Falcon.
Already taking a look at Falcons. We highlighted their POI coming out of stadium, having the split hold here too. You have the Evo Harvester over to their north side, as well as a survey beacon and that light
Okay, let's see
arsenal.
where's Zeta. Oh my
A
God.
sniper arsenal too, and remember,
Zeta is in
what
the-
is this? It may not have
in
been the
the market, I think?
northwestern zone, but it was the other
Street
half
market,
that we
yeah.
have seen plenty of times in the Pro League as we are taking a trip down Humbert Labs, and it's a perfect chef's kiss start to the way we consider this first game because Team Falcons will be traveling
Okay,
to
the
Farming
map is
Stadium.
I don't know what it
going
is,
to
but there's
very
something to be
far
said
right.
about a complete
Oh my
southeastern zone. I'm a bit of a curse, but JDG, we talked about him, we hyped up Naughty's first time time IGLing on land, Shubi and Floating being some of those gunners to join alongside him, but they immediately face that resistance. Too many teams wanting access to the resources here.
And it's scary when Stanani's the first one down, right? You don't want to have your crypto being the first one out of the fight, and while this fight is going on, there was a possible third party on the horizon with more fun, but they prio getting the
right now, it's not even 30 seconds.
But the back to back now over onto the other
That's
side
too fast.
as Gen G coming fresh out of their flights have lost
Oh my god,
on Ziki, and Dexter being on that seer is going to be able to slide through the window to try to get the follow-up.
Dexter, okay.
Gen G hailing
Oh my god.
Shipyard Arcade. There's that reset from Alter we're talking about. A little close moment here. But
No.
level up as soon as he steps out, Louis drops them.
Gen G level 1 versus
Over by Arcade 2, though.
Maggie, and they have crypto caustic.
It's a one it's up to Flex to take control, get the res, and get the reset. No third party in the vicinity over by Shipyard Arcade, so they are going to be able to get the not only the full reset, but perhaps even being able to take that tower to be able to go into that next zone.
Quite unfortunate for Gen G to be some of the last players to alive, freshly admitted this morning, like 3 hours ago. Step onto the stage, first team out of the lobby. Nice reset from Flat, though. They've got the caustic, you have your barrels down. It's really uncontested after that. We don't love third parties in moments like that, but that's okay. For now, we focus on getting information and getting into that next zone. Team Heretics, going to be one of the longer rotating teams alongside Dory and Unlimit, but this squad coming from the west side of things, making sure we level up the weapons, get the Volt in check, and then start the row.
Put that side quest, right? You're going to be able to get that information with survey beacons. I mean, when you have a 100% pick rate on crypto, then you look at the later half, right? And you know how I feel about Caustic in general, Tiff. But imagine being a Caustic when you have all the teams in this lobby rocking crypto. It'd be a shame here as VP now having to scoot away as a solo while Falcons getting their information, moving around the southeastern side of the zone to rotate into Humber, more so on the back end, right? The path less traveled by to clear their bikes. So they're really only teams that they really have to worry about would probably be for fun, as well as VP are now making that rotate as a solo, by the way, as well as DCG.
We got for fun on the screen next. Tyler starting to immediately make those call outs of where they're going to find pressure points on their journey deeper into that circle. They land, they lose out on the shields, and immediately start looking for a setup on how are we going to maneuver from this. Where is our playable position deeper into the circle? Because, hey, if we're already going south, it's great. Get your drone up, find that, and start putting that pressure on.
I mean, when you have literally the entire lobby, except for what, like 4 or 5 teams, not in that next zone, that just highlights the lack of real estate you have to work with. Even though you have a lot of these buildings to coexist in, but it's going to be Humbert nonetheless, and it can be scary depending on where that zone ends up pulling. Will it be on the outskirts of Old Town, you know, where Flat is actually trying to rotate through to clear their backs on the southern side, and Dory already getting that scan, already getting that information to see where a lot of these teams are maybe blocking their position into this rotation. They call out JD Gaming, they got the scan of the survey beacon, and moving forward is going to be PXX, and there's 2 other teams in the vicinity. Well, they do find that knock onto one of the members' Oz's.
Oh, this is down. I know the Zenith was hyping up Prestes, but Virtus
oh my god.
They are eliminated at the hands of not only
Virtus
from the Falcons is also putting pressure towards that. So now that we kind of focus
on
the rotation, you mentioned Dory, but I'll talk about them later. They're
Koifel is fighting. Show me Koifel.
Right?
My idol. Oh no! Koifel is down.
Eat my words.
No,
wait.
I knew down.
No, remember the free reset here.
But they have.
I like this. Putting down the drone in advance actually is really smart. You may not have the EMP, but you get the recall off of having that Ultra GP ready to go. Over on Yanya does get knocked. TRN now on the prowl, and it's going to be 2 players up between Bulls. There's roll high, but now to be able to get the reset is even more important, which allows them to now fully get up to a full 30. But they're still trying to get these scans, get the information, and with so many teams stacked one on top of the other, Humber.
Oh my god, so many people here. You guys, someone. Oh my god, Zeta one down.
Who's already with crazy flatline shots, by the way, is looking to reset. He doesn't like the situation that he's in, and he would rather get everybody up.
Okay, Yuka using. Okay, they're using the portal.
As well, we can't even get Mike up now. It is Satuki last alive for that roster, and you know what's happening? Trinity says we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna start pulling up our players and stack those numbers in our favor. The full from Yuka F comes through, and well, we'll have to wait and see the fate of Zeta after this.
Listen, I want to know how much these players are putting for the insurance policy of the Alter TP because I'm seeing too much aggression when it comes to being able to get these free resets.
And that's exactly what happens, right? Immediately start stacking the heals together. Sure, that fight didn't go our way, but these guys are not afraid. We saw just how much action they had in the regular season split in APAC North. Sure, scrims may not have been the best for them, but that's okay because it's LAN, you're on the stage, and this is the time to show out.
And Flat has also at least been able to secure so many of this KP already earlier.
Trinity have been
able to get these knocks. It's about the resets of this Ultra TP now. He's going to be able to now take some shots off of the longbow. Just 2 times is all he needs at the hands of Jelly. Also being able to have the information with Duke just kind of floating around with the skies looking congested with these crypto drones.
That's going to track, right? Especially when you've got 20 cryptos in the lobby. 100%. You're going to have some drones in the sky. Just keep your eyes on the fights ahead of you and hope that your cryptos doing the work here. You see the care package and everything coming on down, and the replicators and such. So Roy over there, Deep Cross Gaming, mind you, they won the regional finals in APAC South, the back-to-back win for 3 total wins in that series. And they locked it in.
Oh my god.
Honestly, I was hearing
please show me the minimap. Please,
watch the minimap, content, right? He said their comms, when translated, are some of the funniest in ALGS because they'll just look at a fight and they'll be like, "Hey, you guys want to just go full send this?"
Zeta and Unlimit is in the same building.
Let's just full send the fight.
ちょっと待って、今 Zeta と Unlimit 同じ
when it comes to being able to handle match point finals, especially with the pressure. I mean, we saw that with now Sentinels and the way that they were able to handle champs under a different name here, but it's going to be some heretics with the pains up ahead. They see this next zone pull. They see they're getting hits from the team that's up on the high ground here, and that's going to be Unlimit trying to block off their rotate. But even if Team Heretics ends up rotating on the northern side, that's where
there's still
PXX is
18 spots
I told
left.
you, these are the teams that were already late to rotate, right? And now they were running into resistance. Unlimited actually beats Team Heretics, gates them, keep that from the side. So Team Heretics says, all right, we're going to carve up north. Well, you go up north, you might meet some giants, you might meet the Falcons. And if you got Waltzy on your screen like that, I don't really want to take a fight to Waltzy.
I don't know if it's a giant or a Titan, man. I mean, it's a little different when you got to do.
Titan would he be?
Oh, he'd be, I feel like he'd be like probably
Falcon
the
is
armor
like
Titan.
outside the ring, but they don't know the ring is very deep inside.
The rest of Team Falcons who are looking to rotate outside of Energy Bank, they don't like how congested it's looking coming up from this rotate. They do have the option in some time to take a roundabout rotate, go on from the bottom right side of Energy Bank, and maybe see if there's a third party. They can reset with an Alter TP immediately afterwards because it's going to be Team Heretics basically doing the same thing while PXX are holding a split hold over that choke.
Ooh, see, it's all about those decisions and getting as much information as possible. And honestly, playing for things like that ring console for a late game and having the drone grabbing that info, and of course the ring console that is outside the north, it's really stuck between PXX and Dory, so they're going to have sights up, and it will be difficult to get if you do choose to rotate through that area. But for now, it's almost like as if you're not
this is the perfect building. This is
have a really
everyone wants this
journey to get in there.
And I think Falcons
where
did this on
DCG
purpose because if you look at the competition, they're one of the few
they got it first.
They're running the caustic, right? So they want to be able to play objective. They took a roundabout rotate instead on the outskirts of stadium instead of immediately holding down that
really
southern right side choke.
Okay, I want that. Let's fight them.
Depending on how they get to clear this north
But there are
side,
still
I do
80
like to say
scores
the
left,
just game
so
number 1, while
I don't
Falcons
think they're
get to
gonna
plan ahead. And
push.
of course, with Alter being in these compositions, imagine the little cheeky angles you can take through the wall to be able to get a different rotate too.
Very true. And I also kind of like this moment right here where they're playing slow. They're talking about which way they like to go in. Make sure that you grab some of those gold bits, get those power-ups. We talked about Deep Cross Gaming early on, and Roy is going to be the first team down of this member. A rogue nade from Dory. These are the squads that are kind of consistently butting heads up on that northern side of the next.
What happened to my YouTube? My YouTube is lagging.
Look ahead here while DCG do
YouTube,
get that res.
YouTube is lag.
On the outskirts, Dory do manage to get the res
streaming
themselves too with the exhibit being right on top
but
of their heads.
they can claim the
take a look at this
epic
mini-map. There's so many drones flying around. You would think that all these EMPs are going to be different forms of fireworks, while Falcons are rounding behind Dory. So that fight that we just saw currently as Dory are going to be able to heal up safely. They're going to be able to try to pull off getting those
I think
ultimates
once you
online
get the
too.
Twitch, I
Falcons, they see
think
that the
you
fight's over.
should
They
stream
don't
in
want to try to
Twitch.
overextend.
It doesn't
They
like
see
so
that next
much.
zone pool are going to take
And
a roundabout
when there's an
rotate,
ad, right? If you're
perhaps
co-streaming,
behind
you just
JD
open the
Gaming, or
chat
if
and then
timing
the ad
serves,
is here.
behind Zedai and Dory to clear that northern side.
Oh,
But it's a lot of a
wow.
riskier chance unless they go through JD Gaming.
Yeah, and with 18 seconds
Isn't
before
YouTube's
everything starts to collapse and
connection
draw
is
them
not-
in, you might get
connection
stuck having to carve
is
through
not
that
very
choke point
stable.
into the middle, straight towards where we saw Deep Cross Gaming fall.
Wait,
PXX has now
wait,
entered the mix
DCG
alongside
eliminated
Zeddy and
it?
Dory
Wait,
has been
someone
there,
took
right?
their
So
place.
knowing that there's potential
Someone
for
took
that
their
third
place
party,
in
I can
that
imagine
under
that Katsuki
the
there is going
bridge.
to look for some early openings, but honestly, at this point, if you're Zeta across the way,
Come on.
taking another fight
Oh my
towards the
God.
western side, we saw what UKF could do. They hit the reset on the altar, and now the fire, the flame.
You guys,
Okay, they're fighting.
You
They're
guys
fighting.
are- Michael,
And he can't pull it off.
Oh man, there's literally fights happening on each angle while Unlimited 2 get involved in the crossfire. Flat looking ahead to try to capitalize because it's Team Heretics. But remember that pile
I think you're
that
on
we were
delay
talking
though.
about with Dory up on the north side?
Zeta
Falcons
eliminated.
took the jump tower, they landed right on top of him.
And then
Zedai
Falcon
Team
left with
Falcons
one,
ran off
and
against
Baby
each other, but it's
also
only
left
up
with
to
one.
Gil to clutch out here as
Okay,
they
there's
get
the
that
third
follow
party.
knock here, gonna be able to try to get the
Okay,
reset
Gil, you
as
have to
well.
do this.
Finishing off some of these
Wait,
knockdowns
is that
because of the
Falcons?
Alter
Good
TV
job.
that is
Hello?
allowing them to get
Falcon
recalled.
left with one person.
Alter,
Okay, never mind. The
my
reset, the
beloved.
reset.
When you get
No
to
one
make plays
coming.
like that and have that get out of jail free card, there goes the crypto EMP, and for fun, we're just in a bit of a situation, right?
Oh,
We've got
no.
a solid spot if we can hold this and clear out our backs
Oh,
for the long game,
Alter
or
ult.
maximizing a potential win out of it, but not if JD Gaming has anything to say about it. And they were one of our first teams that had teammates falling. Naughty was down and out, but they've made a full reset.
They did, and now Floating is going to be able to clean up on aisle 3 as a limit, by the way. Do get a limit in your feeds. That's going to be at the hands of Team Heretics, who have now completely cleared
Oh
the
my
west side of the zone. But
Devotion.
it's quite a big journey for them. As we
Devotion
take a
still
look
on
at
Maida?
JDG. Now
Okay.
looking ahead with Naughty being back in the
Yeah,
phrase
it
you
is.
mentioned, Tiff is going to get the information off the crypto drone.
Fix
They
it,
do
yeah,
see
fix it,
that
let's
one
go.
member of Wolf's
But I
Esports are
can
going to be
only
able to
watch
TP,
until, like,
and they
8
want to
PM,
prevent them from
because I
getting
need
that
to go
reset. I mean, imagine how an
airport and
EMP could
push
go
my
with the amount of
mother.
caustics in this lobby, and then you have that lone Watson too from Gaming Gladiators.
I actually love that they
14
lock in
spots
Watson
left.
early on and just kind of stick to what they know, stick to what they enjoy for E-District, because
Oh my God.
you'll be able to play that
Falcon.
character longer. You don't have to switch
Oh
off too
my
much.
God.
But here are the Falcons yet
Oh
again.
my God,
on
they're,
the
they're,
move.
they're gonna
Outside
run
looking,
to PX.
which is such a great
Gonna run
strategy
to
for group
PX6.
stages, right? It's all about racking
Oh, no,
up
I
as
did-
many
I
points
haven't
as
done
humanly possible early
going
on.
up.
But they only have 3 kills to kick things off, which I say only. But honestly, the most in the lobby is
Falcon
4,
has 2
and that's
kills,
PXX
3
and Flat.
kills.
Yeah, exactly, right? And Flat, if you look at their position being on that southern side of the zone, it's going to allow
With
them to
crypto,
pressure and
though.
pepper out a lot of that damage onto the neighboring teams that are playing more so by the edge. AG Global are situated in that next zone, but then if you take a look at where that zone's playing next, as you see the side-by-side from Unlimited, Peace,
Oh my God, oh my God.
Peace,
Peace, peace. It's it.
Shot. Oh my
Clutch.
goodness, off the longbow.
Let's
to come
go.
out on top.
Longbow
Falcons now
clutch, one
hailing
HP
from above
clutch.
and being on top of the rooftop,
Oh.
putting in the pressure, forcing this team to play by the fence on a beautiful
If you're on
kidnap, by
delay,
the
you
way,
can
that we were
refresh it,
talking about
refresh
earlier
it.
when it comes to the altar.
Yeah, that was a
No,
dirty
I'm
replay right there,
refreshing
Mickey.
it.
I'm not gonna lie. Those are things that I will
Whee!
never get enough of. But the EMP
That
comes in
EMP
straight
is
on
crazy.
Guild's head, and now a Skynade to hopefully put
And
that
this is
risk
gonna
in,
get
but Trade's
spoiler
coming
from me.
alongside, but it's Heretics.
No! Falcons eliminated.
Backfires as
That about it.
Falcons fall.
Playing off
Spoiler,
the tail,
sorry.
that's one of the keys as Falcons find themselves in the
Isn't it just
gates
like
here.
I
Back to
got
the lobby they go,
2
and
or
this is the pile-up that we were
3
mentioning.
seconds
Team
delay?
Heretics maybe in some
Okay,
trouble here. Well,
Okay.
also it's going to be Havoc also right behind them with PXX, Zedai Esports at the
But
huge
Falcon
pile
got
here.
1 kill
And guess
from
what team
after they
is
died.
uncontested in this next zone? Gaming Gladiators. I mean, crazy. As we were
Second
talking
was
about them
home.
running that Watson earlier too.
Look, I'm
PSX.
telling you, I don't know what it is about
Zedai
gaming
is
gladiators in this
PXX.
era, but
Who's
something
PSX? I
happens
don't
when
know.
those boys step onto the
But
stage,
they're in
right?
a
And
really
hey,
good
we're gonna
place
have
right
some
now.
success this early on. That momentum will carry you
Oh
through
no.
the week.
Shopify only left with
5
1.
HP. Drop in
5
the
HP.
barrels, and hey, we're just gonna hide in here. No one look over. It's all good. It's all good.
It's all good, yeah.
Mind your business. Zainu
If you
says.
see me, no, you don't.
No.
Look away.
Oh no, oh no, oh
Little
no.
Caustic, it's like
No.
hiding behind that one little tree, a slim tree, hoping nobody sees you. But you know what? You're keeping the dream alive here for our teams left in this lobby. That next zone is going to be a bloodbath for the teams that have yet to pile up inside of those 3 individual buildings. That's right directly in the middle when you go over to the east side of Humbert Labs. taking a look at the teams that are just trying to reset here. Yan specifically.
Heretics
He's putting that
is...
down to get information, by the way, just in case.
What? Wait. They're trying to disturb him.
Hey, that's kind of
They're
rude.
trying to disturb him.
It's totally fine. We got AG Global, Yanya, Jaguares, Niazul here on the screen, and an L-Star in hands. Looking pretty good. Now, we do have a solidified spot in circle.
そうだよ。さっきもさ、なんかカエナちゃんもね、評価をもらったよ。今日の朝4時からEメールもらった。だから一緒にできる間に合う。さっきもさ、どう？一緒に行けるよ。なんか BC 入ってる。できるって。
And they do. They immediately full send on to Havoc, who just took out Trinity. So Havoc now with 3 kills towards their name are going to have to contend with the Heretics, and they do it as if it was no issue towards them at all. But now with the ring at your back and TIE just ahead of you, how are you going to contend? Because
oh my god, this ring is crazy. This ring is crazy.
Okay. Trying to get a reset themselves. There's a lot of pressure.
This ring with the buildings are so hard to fight and get into it.
There's only one building, this building. I've seen this ring like a lot.
With 6 squads remaining, these are the 3 buildings that we had mentioned earlier, and some of the teams that are not within the vicinity of these 3 buildings.
Oh my god, look at this ring, crazy.
We got F-Chan, we got Umi-chan, Yan still there. It's like the all-stars still.
They do have the TP, but with this final zone closing in the next 30 seconds, it's going to be nearly impossible.
Oh my god, look at
with 6 teams left, I love that you've outlined all the stakes, especially JD Gaming. And here's why. Their job is to make sure that wherever
Hi, is it live? Hi,
representing on the north with
Pacific.
Gaming Gladiators, PXX, making sure that those 2 fight each other and they don't get full sent. And on the other side, right, the south, Wolves, AG Global, and TIE, they want those fights to happen there so that JD Gaming can shoot from afar and clean that up,
Pacific
netting
too,
themselves a win.
That's why they've been holding this position for a really long time, right?
Yeah.
And we saw that they were able to pepper in a lot of the teams from afar without trying to directly involve themselves. But if you're looking at PXX and what they've done in this first game, that's how you set up momentum. 7 KP going in their pocket while JD Gaming is farming damage.
The pushing
now move up to already initiate this fight
versus
JD Gaming.
No, if they don't push, they're gonna get pushed, yeah.
To try and make a
never mind.
at the hands of Lufka. That is going to actually make so much difficulty there for JD Gaming, who do have the altar, who are going to look for a reset. So Gaming Gladiators must keep applying the pressure. And here they go.
That is fair.
Here they come back though, Naughty floating, making the last stand.
I mean, the way that we're seeing these players just go back and forth between the portal, EMP for days, all the information with the skies, congested. You have the crypto and the seer to deal with.
Hi, eliminated. GG also eliminated. Okay.
Naughty's the last one alive, and JD Gaming get eliminated. Our last 3 squads. As it's AGG, Wolves, and PXX who are looking to take this KP into that first
Okay, they take the high ground. They take the high ground.
You've got to relax, and Crazy Kong went no name.
Oh my god.
They do exactly
There's so many bots
there.
and they take game 1 of groups A and B.
Wolves with the pop.
The walls separate everything.
Energy. I mean, what was that? Like 10 KP by the end of it all? They were able to play very safely, have the high ground advantage.
Bruh, I need to go soon. I hope they start like really
to
fast.
take that
You look, if you lock in
I think so.
as your POI, and that circle immediately starts outlining that area, this is where you can show what you've got. You have that. And not only that, but usually if teams are already in a zone that's pulling towards them, they don't get a lot of kills, right? But you said it, Vicky. They did this win with double-digit 10 kills to kick things off. So a 22-point game 1.
Sheesh. I mean, that's how you start things off.
I take it.
Land over by Humber. That's your designated POI. You play safe. You get to hold the high advantage. You were able to get some of the resets that we saw some of these teams capitalize on. But to be able to do so in a final zone like this, when you're forcing some of these fights, a little bob-off comes in here. They're letting everybody know what their name is.
Look, I just learned the sign for Wolves, Vicky. As he was walking, he threw up the W. He took the W, threw up the W, and I want to see more of Wolves.
W for days here for Wolves. Locked and loaded. I love the energy of our pros here on this stage, but already making a statement after our first game alone on E District. Remember, We got 2 more games to go here on this map.
And it's one of my favorites, right? It is obviously one of the newer in the map pool as we kind of peruse through some of these highlights here, starting off with Wolves on that high ground, making sure that these nades are doing the brunt force of the work. You see how many connect right there on a TIE. You use the altar, you
this grenade's really good.
You got the gold alt in hand, and you just let it work, right? But I do love this moment here from JD Gaming, but more importantly, the time in which Gaming Gladiators did take to kind of throw themselves down in there. Now, I noticed that Gaming Gladiators fall before JD does. There were more players in that mix.
Oh, floating was in the Matrix too. Like he could not move. Like I mean, you're getting double sear scanned. Like
and we're dodging. We are literally floating. Sorry, that's a dad joke.
I've been floating back to the lobby. No, that's it. Because honestly, that's how it kind of feels like, right? When you're stuck on the other side of that sear attack, it's like everything is slow-mo for you, but the fact that floating was still able to clutch out with those Devo pickoffs here with the hip fire shots is also nice. But it's even better when Wolves gets to come in from the high ground at the top of your Apex Predator table here and just being able to dive down and feast on your victims. Looks fantastic on how they're able to start off this first game.
I know, and I'm like, for all the teams that just had like a really powerful
they give you like
the grabbing second place, right? They had 8 kills.
Excel file, by the way. Okay, there is
a squad that actually didn't have one of the drop spots on the eastern
Group
side of things,
stage
or even the south,
A
right?
and B.
They were over in Blossom, so
Yes.
they had Havoc, Shopify Rebellion.
Oh, there are
Zeta,
6 maps.
Some of the
6 maps,
powerhouses
yeah,
over
6
there
maps.
on
So
that
it's
six
E
maps.
district,
so when you think about the initial
and then
rotates,
Stone
how
Point. E district, Stone Point.
everyone
Okay,
was
okay.
focusing
So
on getting
we're
information
until
and
very
getting into
late
that
today.
circle.
So
So
I'm like,
many of
okay,
those
I'm
fights
just gonna stream a
happened
while
on
and
the
then come
western
back.
side of things, and if you have in there,
break.
it's a really
Okay,
brutal
third
one.
map has
It's tough too, and it's even more impressive to see how No Name was able to put down what 6 KP just by himself on the altar. It comes in clutch when you are
after
able
like
to take your own
group
TP
A
back, get
and
your
B,
teammates back
there's
up to
a
full health.
1
We saw
hour,
it time and time again
1
already,
hour 30
starting off
minute
our first
break
and mind you, it's not even gonna be altar.
before
Check
going
this, man. It's the
to
100% pick rate on
C
Crypto.
and
Those
D.
guys there too, because
Okay,
you
okay,
the double seared on top of like the stuns that you also
Do-
have to
do you
slow
open
down
the
with
Excel
these.
file?
We get to see that highlight once again.
I open it, I
Double
read it,
attack hand, and then
I
you
read
see
it.
the drone flying above his
So,
head.
But I
okay,
didn't
okay,
check the hours.
We're taking out
So I
this is the
can
high
get
ground
the,
position
I
that we
can
were
play,
talking about.
I
From
can
Wolves
watch the
being
second
one of
map,
the
I
teams to take
guess,
this
because
building
it's
very
10
early,
minutes
considering
breaks
that
in
this is their
between
POI.
maps.
So they had that advantage with No Name cleaning up even more heads. We just talked about the fact that he was able to
But
not
today
only
it's gonna be like,
10
what time is this one?
but him alone with 6.
Yeah, he did it really efficiently too. 2,000
550
damage, well,
is
2,078 if you want to get crazy, but minimal damage taken. Only took about 700, even Crazy Kong 100
It's like
damage
11
taken
o'clock
throughout the
starts.
duration, and you're
The
starting at
second group.
Humbert and everyone's coming to you, and you only had 100
Yeah,
damage
but-
shot at you. We're efficient.
Well, I think I can
Making
only
sure
do
that you are
the
outside of the fight and being able to
first-
capitalize on
first,
a lot of the teams that were forced to
first
rotate
6
from the edge of
maps.
zone, that were out in the open if they didn't find their own free building.
Yeah.
Going right through that rotating wall on
What
the
happened
outskirts
to
of
my
Humbert
Chrome?
Labs.
My
But while we get
Chrome
set up,
is
everybody,
still
game number
lagging.
2 is on the horizon,
Hello,
going back over to E
hello.
District, which is important when we
It's
take a
really
look at the
English.
different POI
Naniga,
draft, right? Tiff, we
naniga.
highlighted some of the common zones that we've been seeing throughout the
Sige
course of
naman,
Pro League and
I said Northwest.
Mienay
You were like, yeah, until
tokomo
you get the
keto.
rogue Humbert lab. Okay, sure, Vicky. What else do you know?
Man, I mean,
Where are we
listen,
going?
I've talked a little bit to the script writers in the back. We always have to talk to the script writers, you know.
Okay, China,
even
you'll
if
be
Nice
here,
One's
right?
back at
Maybe
home,
if
we
I just
always have
leave
Nice One's
my
energy
stream
out here
on.
too, contributing to being a script writer
I
himself.
hope he's healing up, by the way. Shout out Nice Big back at home, hitting the
You
water.
know, I
I'm
can
sorry.
I
We're
can
sending
stay
our
in
best wishes, homie.
stay in
Miss you,
voice
man.
chat
But, you know,
and
we
hope
also miss
too.
being able to see
Yeah,
how
yeah.
script writers are writing that fire when it comes to starting off our
Well,
first game too.
I think that's,
and already with Wolves taking control of
wait,
not only their
that's
designated
possible.
POI,
That's actually possible.
but now we get to see how a
Right,
lot of
right.
these teams were able to
Yeah.
influence
Like, I
people
don't have to
closer
end my
into
stream.
those zone pools.
I'll be
Yeah,
back in
specifically
like
being one of them. We did see Falcons take a roundabout
an
rotation.
hour
We mentioned
and a
TD
half
Gaming,
though.
how they
But
were able
I'm
to hold
thinking
that
maybe I should
southern right side
just-
of Humbert Labs too.
I was impressed. I really was,
I don't know,
right?
man.
We talked about
Wish I did.
floating in particular, kind of coming in through the open, making a name for himself there, finding
Because they
himself
say
on
that
a
you
really
can
nice
you
roster
can
alongside
you can
Shubi
stream
and
it
Naughty.
without
And what
commentary,
this
you
initial
know.
land was
No
going to look
commentary
like
is
for them
that.
as a team, because you
Yeah,
think
they
of their
say you
split
can
one
use-
performance.
can
Yeah,
stream
they
without
had their ups and
commentary.
downs.
If I'm
they
not
had their
here,
powerhouse
then
moments, but
only
when we
you
got to
commentary.
interview them on the broadcast, how
It's okay. I'll end my
mentally
stream
clear did
because
Naughty
I'm not
sound
sure
at that
like
point? It's
what
almost like it
time
was really
we fight.
refreshing.
Maybe
and I was like, this is
9:30,
a,
like
this
1
is a guy
hour
who means business.
and
And
a half,
obviously
maybe my
of our
dads
players do,
need
but
to
it
go
was just like
eat. I
a
don't know.
very new naughty, I'll go ahead and say. Like,
Okay.
It's like a resurgence of like, okay, how
It
long
took
have I been
like
in this?
20
Like,
minutes
what is
to
the
get to
different
airport.
results that I'm trying to aim
If
for,
it's
right?
not
I got these
traffic,
crazy talented
no
players
traffic.
on my team. What can I
Then
utilize
I'll come
taking
back
my
20
knowledge,
minutes,
my
so
experience,
it's like
and
within
seeing
1
what can
hour.
I bring here to
And if he
elevate
eats, then
these
a little
crazy
bit
fraggers? I
over
mean,
1
we
hour,
see
I
kind of an
guess.
iteration of this team in different regions, right, Tiff? I mean, one that
Well, I
comes to mind,
think
at least in my mind, you know, not
you
in this
can
group,
you can
but Alliance,
answer
kind of
first,
being
then
Yeah,
reopen.
leading the team when it comes to like, setting out
crypto
your
got
units,
banned,
right?
of
And that's kind of what
course.
we've been seeing with
Every
Na'Vi.
single
Definitely.
team
We also have
has
to highlight
crypto.
the 100%
Definitely.
pick rate over onto the crypto.
Every single team
I
has
mean,
crypto.
goodbye crypto.
Well,
Not gonna miss you. All the crypto EMPs, all the drones in the sky for the
but
informations. We're not gonna
that's
have that.
like-
Alter, however, was 17 picks in game 1. So if things
Like,
kind of go
crypto
in
isn't
that
even,
same route,
like,
there's
that
a good
years
chance we could see
older.
Alter be the next.
Because
the closest
no
aside
one,
from that was
not much
Caustic.
people use
You know
the
what I'm also
caustic,
thinking
though.
about here too, Tiff? Because now that crypto's out of the table,
Alter
right, and we're seeing
was
some of
really
these
good,
teams
though.
cryo info.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Alter
of,
is
like,
really good in,
yeah.
especially
Was it
in
like
E
being over
district.
by
Yeah,
Satan,
yeah,
so now
yeah.
you're
'Cause
forced
there's
to
a
take
lot
a
of
roundabout
walls that
position
she can
towards
go
energy by the choke to try to
was
get that read instead.
And
Yeah,
that
which is
cham
where we
just
saw
now
them
was
originally
because of
before we saw that crazy
Alter.
pileup
Not
Yeah.
gonna
of a lot
lie.
of teams coming through.
Everyone just going out,
Even
Exactly.
in,
Falcons.
out,
I think
in, out the
Falcons were-
walls.
Obviously, they weren't playing that like caustic, right? But they were just running at people.
I shouldn't
feeling
really
confident.
like playing
Having
Alter.
Guild on Seer. Look, it's pretty nice to see Guild on Seer, and he's just out there. I'm just gonna attack
Well,
you.
I
I'm
need
gonna
more
attack you
training
over
for
here.
that.
And it was all fun and games until they got shut down. But that just goes to show you how they're viewing the group stages, right? We're prioritizing fighting on edge, racking up our kill points, and then saying, sure, if we get a win out of this, great. That's 12 points right there. But as long as we're getting, top 5
Okay.
consistently with kills, that is a great way to get through the group stages.
Until they had to be met with that hot potato nade right at their feet.
Yeah, that would hurt. That's one of those things where you start seeing the nade indicators and you're like,
Are with
I'm
Brad? Yes,
done.
I'm with
I'm
Brad
sorry,
you
right
don't
now.
actually. Sometimes
So
you're
later
so
she has to go.
you're like, how did that
Yeah.
happen?
Oh man, and then you
Wait, I
get
haven't opened
yeeted
your
out into
stream,
the
wait.
zone or even fall off from the high ground, which is a really
Wait.
scary
No,
situation to be
my
in.
stream-
But yeah,
my
I
stream
definitely
is
agree when it comes to trying to
I don't
play
know,
incredibly
still,
aggressive. But
like-
then there's also, I mean, even teams like what we saw from JD
Yeah,
Gaming, we
I
keep
hope you
highlighting
can get the
holding
Twitch one,
and
though.
choking out the teams that are forced
Twitch
to
is
come
better.
from that southern
Definitely.
east
But I
side
think
of the
think
zone of
it
Humber, and
still
then
needs
trying to
2
actually
days.
contest a lot of these teams. Whereas even teams like AGG
When did you send it?
playing a
Today?
lot more patiently, playing into those compositions when it comes to
yesterday
playing
night.
safe, but kind of being forced
Yesterday
to look
night,
through the windows, getting these resets with the altar portal,
But
into allowing
you
themselves to get a
can't
little
watch the
aggressive,
opening
but maybe not as
ceremony.
aggressive
When
as
is
some of
the
these other
opening
teams. And
ceremony?
it did work out for Wolves, honestly, at the very end, right? We saw them clean up the KP that they needed
'Cause-
by the very end
Because they said,
without
like, if
giving
you
away
see
their
in
building for
the
free.
Discord,
Yeah,
you
we
can,
can-
I get really excited.
can
I'm
stream,
always
but I
curious
can.
what's that going to look
Because
like
I got
for Wolves
approved
in
on
particular.
4th
we
July
talked about it
before
earlier.
5th,
No names,
so I
right?
can.
Just
Uh-huh.
coming in
Yeah.
with a large majority
I can
of those
still
kills.
stream
But
it, let's
is
go.
that moment where you have your team working as a unit.
so-
If you have to look and say, yeah, I've got the most kills, that's probably because someone else threw down a brunt force of damage, and you're just saying, hey, I'm just picking it off. So can we do that again?
Tomorrow
I hope so,
too.
because if you
Next
drop
day,
two
next
20-point
day,
games,
next
you're pretty looking
Wait,
good in
match
this
point
series. You're
finals
gonna be
is
at the
11
top, and
July.
that
I
is
thought
how
it
you
was
avoid
12.
that.
Okay,
Wait,
my
hang on a
bad.
second. Let's focus in on that. Who we
Okay,
got there?
11 July.
got
Let's
fans.
watch it together. Match point
I was
final.
like,
I also
saturated. I
sent
tried.
I tried
some
really
other
hard. It's like,
people
guess that
the
player.
I'm like the
link,
worst
so
person when it comes
I
to
hope
that
they
too.
can
I cannot
get
even
it
see
too.
like my hands in front of me.
so we can
So
watch
it goes
together.
like this.
I choose not to wear
That'd be
my
fun.
glasses in contacts, so I
11
can't
July.
see past 6 feet.
There's a reason why I'm a little psychotic when it
In
comes
our
to standing up and
time.
playing and
So,
standing up and
so,
getting
so.
hyped
Kinda-
here, guys,
wait.
for game
Where's
number
Kai?
2. As we are ready to go, we saw Wolves
Let me put
double-digit
your-
KP take game number
YouTube.
1 within our first look of groups A and B. And now
Lol.
we move right back over onto E District. We talked about
Wait,
the POIs
11
earlier, Tiff, and we get to
July.
see where this zone is going to be pulling
Oh,
this
wait,
time
I'm so
around.
loud
Will
in
it be
your
a little bit
stream.
more so towards the western side of
Hmm?
zone? Maybe a
Right,
different
that's
look
Kaina
around
no
because we've
配信。
been
今配
seeing
信
City
してる
Hall
よ。
throughout Pro League. We see the Humber zone
Kaina is
this time
streaming
around
right now.
and
She
changing
is
things up as we
here
get
while I
started.
was gone.
But first, take a look at
Listen to-
Wolves and what
Listen to the
legend is going to
While
be
I was
banned
gone, you
next
guys
year
can watch
as they
Kaina.
roll out with the Alter Wolves as well as the Mad Maggie.
Not the Ray like
Okay,
Wolves
Wolves here.
私が
We already see the changes coming through,
い
but I
ない後
still
でなん
think
か
that
カイ
they are
ナの
going
配信
to run at some things. Where the initial circle goes for them, Wolves landing at Humbert Labs. Will we pull towards
Demon
the south? Because it shows them already in the next circle, which
hitata
begs my question. Where are we headed? I hear the console kind of queuing on up.
Can we start already? Okay, I have 15 minutes to watch.
South Avenge. Times are changing, Vicky. And Genji Esports, you may have been first out of the
20
lobby
minutes,
in
right?
map number 1, but This is your time
Before
to
you
shine.
need
Hey,
to
they have a
go.
survey beacon, but it's not like that would provide maybe the
One
information that
match
they
is
want,
20 minutes,
considering that a
right?
lot of
Okay,
these
okay.
teams
It's
are
okay, I just
now
asked
just
my
starting
dad
to
to wait for a
rotate too. So I see a draft point zone, and I know Grace was very happy when it comes to seeing these zones too.
With Zeta. Zeta is in stream, so everyone's dropped in the same exact place, every single map.
When it comes to having that survey
Okay,
beacon, I'm wondering
that's
here,
new.
Oh, they
a lot
don't
of these
switch
teams
the drop.
collapse on one another
Yeah,
over
I
by
think
draft
they
point?
don't
Yes, that's what I was
switch.
looking for. The ring console and survey
because
are gonna be
usually
there. So
in
it looks like
ALGS
some
it's
teams
like
to
one map
prevent
and then a
others
different
who
map
are
and a
rotating
different
really
map,
late to
right?
get information,
But this
while
one
the
is
other
the
teams
same
that have to
map
go
in a
from
row.
later POIs, further
So that's why they don't
POIs rather,
change it.
will be able to side quest to get that
Ah.
information themselves.
Yeah, you've got Dory
Okay,
all the way
okay,
up
okay.
at Lotus, right?
That's-
and
that's
they're a squad
convenience
that
for the
doesn't
teams,
have
like, they
wants
can,
it.
like,
They're still electing to run
practice, you
Seer,
know?
which has an 18 pick in the lobby. So that will likely be your next ban
Oh my
here.
god,
We're going to get
the
him
meta
out
now is
before we
like
move on to
Alter,
Stormpoint later on. But for Team
Seer, was
Yeah.
bringing out the
That's
race.
serious.
Dare I
Raze?
say, Chen, you
Oh,
are
I has
my favorite
Raze.
player right now.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
Feeling a little
後で
risky,
も
aren't we?
後で
I do like this though when it comes to
Hey,
trying
can
to
you
go
stream
in
till
for
like
these
the
different
end
rotates,
of
but then
it?
you won't
Kind of
have
today?
the same type
No,
of
right?
reset that we
I
saw in game number one.
I
with the amount of
can
ultras that
go
we had, which is
till
important, right? You
at
mentioned the Seer,
least
that's going to be our next
12
Legends band.
days.
We'll
okay,
be able to see the double tax coming out here, maybe even more when it comes to a lot of these teams coexisting in these buildings. But it's about getting the information, looking at our fans in
we'll
the
see.
audience, live
I will try.
Paris,
I think I will
Game
try
number two,
to
as you
finish
call
all
in the
6
evac
matches.
already to make your next move, because Tiff, a lot of teams have already found
6
themselves over on
match
this draft point side, but I
is
mean, it's great to be a Gen G
until-
fan, especially after a lackluster game number one, because, you know, as you already mentioned, being the first team out, but being able to
Early
come out with
fourth?
the survey beacon and ring console from Shipyard Arcade will allow them to sit pretty on the southern side of zone where no other teams will be able to get that set of information and
About
get
1
the
AM.
bridge
Yeah,
where
2 more
they can clear
hours.
the
Not
maps.
2 or
Yeah,
3
exactly. And
more.
as we look at Flat and where they've set up, you have to think about Qzir.
Wait,
They're
wait,
like
wait.
on Seer,
3,
right? We have to
4.
grab the survey beacon. They hail from Viaduct. They only had the survey beacon, and you're going to see a ton of people moving
Hello,
into
empty.
that
End of
vicinity.
8. Yeah,
Just
end on
kind of
8, and then I'm gonna
around
come
Round Point a
back
little bit south.
again.
So you're saying that's where we need to play from.
But you
We
guys
make
can
that
go
call.
to
We say,
Kaina's
this is
stream
exactly
and
our
then,
play style. We
wait
have
there,
the bots, and
guys.
we can
Wait
ice
for
this
me.
area. JD Gaming also choosing to play around this
I'll
area.
join
Actually,
Kaina
You have to
VC when I
realize,
come back.
As you set up, that you have to be able to hold it. But for AG Global on that eastern side of things, making their push in, Yanya himself on the altar is 2 knocks away
Yanya
from
on
1,000 knocks.
altars.
Okay, like that's insane.
Ooh, hold on.
We need it here
Hold
in this
on,
game,
Yanya.
right?
2 knocks
Right down the
away
stats.
from
Tiff has
1,000?
spoken,
Yeah,
especially
on
when it comes
YouTube.
to
Okay.
tracking some of these players that have been reoccurrent in our lands.
Have a good day.
AGG
Take
now
care.
moving outside
Nani,
of
say
Humber.
kumasan.
Falcons are proudly right behind them, by the way, who want to
Kaina's-
pride with getting the Evo Harvester
It's this one.
on the
YouTube is
northeastern
this.
side of Humber, very
Send it
similar to
again.
where that last zone pool was before they make their rotate, perhaps through the choke of Shipyard
Gen Z
Arcade,
just
because, again,
passes
it's
by
that big set of
Zeta's-
information that Gen G
Zeta's
already
landmark?
prior,
What the
very
heck?
early on with the ring console and survey beacon, but Gen G did give up that space for right now. As you can see them right now, they're going to be able to try to look over by Viaduct, but guess who was there by the survey already? It was PXX. They don't want to
Link-
try
no,
to
no,
contest
that's
or
Kaina's
play on
stream.
the edge of zone in that direction that leads into draft point, so they actually get right back over to Shipyard Arcade before AGG or even Falcons may want to try to pry or get that info, which is why we're seeing Falcons now take to
Ooh,
the
this
skies. But do they have
Alter
the
skin.
information that Gen
Never
G is
seen that.
waiting for them at Shipyard?
Yeah, it was a really interesting game
Oh,
one
they're
for Falcons, right?
flying.
Because how often do we find
Wait,
them
they're
so
going-
far outside of
Everyone's
zone
going
in the
to
north, right? So
Shipyard.
knowing that they start
What?
from Stadium, that was a journey for them. That was full of resets and just stabilization and looking for kills.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
what
They're
do we
reading
do
the
this
map right
time?
now. They're
We
reading the
actually
map.
go
They're
south.
reading the
We
ring.
comb together a couple of evacs. We take to the sky, and now Guild switches
Everyone
on
doing the
Seer,
same thing.
Waltzy's on Seer, Guild's on Hudson, and we're saying, where do we
Oh,
want
we're
to
gonna
set
see
up?
an
Well, you set
early
up by the ring
fight?
console. You play for information.
Gen
And they were
Z
able to
versus
get there for
Falcon.
free. All right, we
Possibly,
take that. Let me
but
tell
Gen
you,
Z
especially
has
when Gen G's, like,
white
looking above them,
white
seeing
armors.
Falcons
Meanwhile,
fly from
Hall has
above.
red
They
armor.
heard the evac tower and does end up crashing down before they end up rotating probably through Old Town,
Okay,
taking their time. While AGG, we saw them earlier taking shots at Falcons. They're not going to try to prio and contest Falcons there by Shipyard Arcade.
they
because
ran
with
away
a lot
from
of these
Falcon,
teams
okay.
being able to have the reset of the alter TPs
I think
in
they shot
general,
Falcon earlier
there
and
could
then
be a
saw
lot
the,
of griefing that could
saw
be
the
done,
armor.
especially with
Hold on.
the influence of Axel that we were seeing seeing in this lobby.
It's so interesting
first
looking
Exo,
at Gen G, you know, the
okay.
8th seed coming in from APAC South. This is one of those squads that didn't have the best scrim average when it comes down to it. Sure, 33rd average, but you said, Vicky, we take it with a grain of salt. We just compile on that performance. Some of that's done due to ping, right? But when you get to land, you kind of lock in. You're running on 2 hours of sleep. We're just happy to have you here for day one. We just want to
2
see get
hours
kind
of
of those
sleep?
initial flows
Bro.
moving. What's the pace of the lobby look like? And really kind of set up
What?
for the later
Everyone's on 2 hours of
honestly,
sleep. I
all
slept
props to
longer
them.
than them. What the heck?
Yeah, like I'm saying
Zombie, bro.
nothing but nice.
A shell of my former existence, but that's why they're here.
But I saw
3.4 hours.
Already getting that adrenaline.
I saw on
and
Twitter
going here with
yesterday,
a lot
some
of our
people
teams
already
already
like
making their way,
testing
DP being
the
one of them, by the way, where they
equipments
were able to
yesterday.
send out that altar player to be already put down that TP,
And
so that way they can
they-
help out with their
they
rotates while
post,
also prioing getting the survey beacon as well as the ring
Wait,
console
wait.
that's on the
Zeta
other side of
is
the wall.
inside
And
wall.
DCG also
GG,
are keeping their eye
Fun,
on BP
Flat,
because so many teams now
BP,
you're
Virtus
looking
Pro
at
is
Heretics, Unlimited, even
close.
Shopify,
Unlimited
who
is
have to come from
coming.
very far away over to
Who's
the north
outside?
side, will be able to side
Koifo
quest
is
over to
outside
getting
and
that survey
Heretics.
beacon. And then on the opposite
Oh my god,
end,
they're gonna
Tiff,
fight!
same thing could be said
Yanya
about
versus
Falcons.
Gen Z.
The way that they want to take a roundabout because it's a
Oh my god,
Gen
Gen
Z.
Oh!
Find themselves in a fight.
2 downs.
The trade and Yanya
2 downs
from
from H.
Oi!
That's poor. That's poor.
You know, it's going to be a little bane of your
They
existence to
have
reach
no
that
armor.
1,000, but the moment you do, then you're going to find all the knocks. But that's a nice way to make sure that we clear out our backs in the south down here near Old Town. Sure, we're fighting. We're going to rotate back in. You're
Okay,
going to look
like
at, you're right,
Falcon
Deep Cross Gaming and
and
Trinity that are
Fun.
likely going to be real pain points on that next portion. But
Oh
for
wait, I
Falcon,
just realized they have
right?
Watson.
They took the path up through the south,
Yes.
and they just kind of like slammed themselves in the middle of everyone.
Hey, they found themselves in the middle of a lot of these teams and waiting to see where the zone's going to pull, but I really do like the aggression that we saw from AGG, who were holding out on the outskirts of Humbert before they went outside of the zone to where there is over at Old Town a survey beacon to see where everybody is situated in. While DCG are ahead of them, while
This
AGG
Watson
are now
gonna be
resetting fully. We
so
talked about
good.
Falcons before, and they're playing to their strengths when it comes to these current
Later?
compositions that they're rocking on, right? You have still have the
If
altar,
they
you have the
read
Seer
the
getting
ring
info,
properly,
as
like,
well
get
as
to
the
the right
Watson,
spot.
just to sit down pretty.
Yes.
But with all their teams
Well,
now
is
getting
Zeta-
some
Zeta
good
is
shots
at
from afar,
the
some teams
very-
still rocking the
very
full blue here, unlike
disrespectful.
Falcons
Zeta
are full
on the
purple.
bridge, and there's
Well,
like
I'm keeping my eyes
5,
on
6
Flat up
teams
there in the bus,
in this
locked
area.
on
Oh.
to the Watson. You have Havoc down as well, but as our free cam keeps navigating through, Virtus Pro on the horizon. This is a squad that went out 19th in map number 1. So trying to bounce back from that performance here. It's a great way to
It's
make it
almost
happen.
round
You throw a
3
hemlock
and
in,
only
you kinda keep
one
that pressure
team
from a distance. You're behind
eliminated.
Yeah.
and you're inside that next circle for this one and the next one. So we're feeling safe.
It's gonna be a
And we're out
bloodbath.
of
Like
the
you don't
cluster
even know
of
what's
teams
going
out
on
towards your
later.
west.
Oh, they have Watson too. Okay,
it's gonna be
everyone's has
scary.
Watson. Okay,
Because
okay.
especially when, like, if you don't have
a
control
lot
over
of
some these
team
bridges
has
where you have a
that.
lot of these open angles, you're
Oh,
gonna see
Dory
teams
flying
like
in.
Dory
Is that
saying,
2
"Hasta la vista,"
person
we're
only?
taking a
Yep.
different rotate through the vent side on the south side of Energy Bank, leading into draft point through that tunnel. That's incredibly risky, right, Tiff? Because you still have Shopify who are holding that north side of draft point, Unlimit, who will be able to look at the opposition from the other bridge side when it comes to getting out of the western side of the zone where Team Heretics are making their
Team
rotate.
Heretics
And Falcons
gonna
are
go
looking to
mid
keep
Unlimited,
X
but Unlimited
as
is
they
like
also come in to get
inside.
where that next zone pull is.
Yeah, you mentioned
they're
Heretics,
close,
and as we
they're
kind of
close.
looked at them on their path, they did rotate in from the western side of things, and they try to find some coverage, and immediately get
Okay,
sought out
you're
by
fighting,
Unlimited
you're fighting.
host Alonzi and Jans here. What are we going to do to make this happen? You've got information.
What do
you
they
do
have?
the exhibit in
Sheer,
your back
Maggie,
pocket, but
and
you don't
Alter.
quite want to burn this. You will if you have to. You do have the 2 ult excels in the inventory. This is going to force you to go this way.
They need to
You got
go.
Falcons straight ahead, Unlimit out to the left.
They know
Dory's
this
still looking
left
for a
and right.
home, and you know that they are ready to fight for
They
it.
know
With
there's
that
left and
Alter,
right
with
enemy,
that
but they don't know there's like
hand.
6, 7 teams there.
There too. Oh, we get to see Jet's parents from afar.
Papa Jen.
I love how we get to see their beautiful faces out in the crowd. Great energy from this family here.
It's not a LAN if we don't
No.
get to see Papa Jen, and of course Jen's not going to be competing here today. He did actually, you know, was going to sub
Trinity.
in
Trinity is
they
like
got everything
very
approved. They're on the stage here now, but it's still
wait,
really
they actually
nice to see
flying
them here
to
supporting.
good
And as we
spot.
look at those
Yeah,
next
Trinity is actually in a really good place, even though now it's like outside the ring.
Yeah, they only need to careful HG and don't fight with Virtus.
Yeah, but bro, they're like neighbors right now.
So good for their end game.
Okay, where's Enya going?
It's really true. That's why you're seeing them take the evac because you know while they were able to take their
oh my god, they're
you
gonna
see the light arsenal that was right to your south.
crushing each other.
No, he just hit the wall. Yanya hit the wall.
Finding out what the rest of the lobby is looking like from afar because they have the
And that's right, it's fine, it's fine.
But growing together as a unit, flying over
Oh
the heads
my
of
god.
VP. Can they find the
Oh my,
safety
oh gosh.
Oh my god,
Okay,
this
they
is
made it.
okay. They got one free house. They actually got one free house. Every other house is occupied. Then they got the one free one.
See that this was free and get here without even needing that info.
The best part about all of this is because this building is free, is so many teams had placed their bets on the west side. They're going to have to make a mass exodus.
Ooh, one down.
If you are on this side, stand tall and own it.
Oh, VP, 2 down on VP. Oh shit. Trinity. Trinity, let's go. This is a JP team. Trinity.
Igarashi said,
Oh,
open up
okay,
like the Kool-Aid man.
Igarashi, he, I think, in the previous split, he got 20 something kills, 21 kills alone, by the way. In the JP, yeah, in JP League. Like the most kills.
Lobby being the second team to fall. It's just a fact.
That's okay.
I mean, it's round 3.
I think I still need a lot of information.
5 hours of sleep, they're going to be playing completely different. They're going to feel just like themselves. So the Falcons, though, yeah, we're testing fate with some more nades.
Really good spot right now.
They were a little bit, they fell victim to nades in map number 1.
But they're not in the ring though.
Yeah, and
Wait!
L
Star?
From far away.
Oh my god. Yeah, two or three I think. There was Zeta and then there's another 2 teams. One of it has
you saw that
Watson.
southern rotation. You saw them grabbing that information and they chose this side of things.
And you know, while Falcons are sitting here just trying to make their next move, let's jump into a listening with Falcons to see how they plan this
Okay,
next
let's
rotate.
listen to Falcon.
You can go underneath the water if we evac, like low ground water, if that's possibly open.
Okay, where do you want to evac from?
Oh, they want to eat. Okay.
Just drop it, second floor, I'm coming to you.
Dropping it.
Okay, they have an evac, that's good.
We have to do it in between the buildings somehow, and not get shot.
Okay. Tell me when you want me to start grouping with you, because I'm just staring north.
They kind of chill right now. They sound chill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They sound chill even though it's 5th round next. Last round. I'm gonna wait until this match ends and then I'll leave. It's a little bit more.
Right, well,
last round, guys.
Hal's face, you know, moving around and letting the rest of the boys know where to go next. We get to see where that zone pool is looking like too, because round number 4
they're going now.
is closing
right when
behind
the
their
ring
backs. And by the
closing.
way, we still have 18 squads still left.
They need to prepare to fight
here.
here.
Bloodbath of Falcons take to the skies, and they get to fly over the insane battleground.
Oh my god, look at those. Look at the shears of holy. Oh, there's 2 teams there. Oh my god. 3 teams. This fighting. Dory down. 1 down. Hall almost down. Wait, never mind. They got Dory, but there's 2 teams. Yep, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. There's 2 teams on top of them.
They just fly there and eliminated 1 team.
Yeah, because Dory was like right on the edge of the zone.
With a sliver into that next zone, and that's
okay. Good thing they have all even if they're like in the corner, they can still.
They didn't have anyone fall too much damage there. They reset nicely. They get the gen down.
Oh my god, they gonna fight JDZ. Oi.
And immediately lets the R9 shred
2 or 4 Fun
do
down.
have some poke damage from behind, so you immediately start playing the
Oh,
doorway.
God, the
they're going in.
You for fun as well. They've
So many
already
fans.
used their
How to go in.
Oh
my god.
Hijack enabled.
And they don't have
Yeah, you
grenades.
see like the painting of Watson fences on the ground. Shubi just trying to hijack that himself, JD.
They have Axel. Okay. Oh, it's the second team with the Axel.
Try to look ahead because
Oh, someone rezzing? What do you mean someone rezzing?
coming in right through the death box, and they try to show face while they're at it.
Huh?
Because while they try to take this
Well,
fight, they don't want to
they
give up this
just-
building because Flat are looking
Hey, the ones
overhead
on the
at
bridge
Forfun and
doesn't
JD,
mind them
but they're
too.
also putting their attention to Zedai,
The ones
who
on the
are currently
bridge.
on the bridge.
And I love that they have floating on that.
The
The ones on the
final-
bridge doesn't keep.
Oh, look at the final ring.
Players. You nitro gate across, and you just keep that pressure on.
What the?
For
Oh,
Falcons,
Falcon, one down on
when we
Falcon.
left them, right? They immediately shut
Okay.
down that push from Trinity, who decide, hey, we'll go back up to high ground. We'll try to challenge it yet again.
Yeah, they definitely
Wait.
found Dory in that too. The fact that they were able to get
Was
away
he-
with
was he
that is
down?
insane. But now
Wiped them
Trinity, literally like, and they were able to still hold down. Well, AGG
Oh, they're going up.
trying to contest Trinity. Trying to
Yanya
creep
down.
allowing Falcons
There's three
to
teams
move
here.
up. That one member of Trinity said,
AG,
"Lisa,
Trinity,
I'm
and,
out of here. I do not want any
Falcon.
business of this action." While AGG are looking, they
Oh my
got Yanya up originally, but not for very long.
AG level
Falcons
one,
holding a better
oh,
position as
AG
Falcons
down.
are cleaning up heads for this game number
Falcons
2.
still
Falcons
3
are
members.
making light work of
They're
their
still
rotations. They're
JD
finding the
Gaming down
resistance.
too.
They're shutting it down. JD Gaming for fun also going to fall on
Trinity
the left-hand side
is
of
still
things.
alive?
Now, as teams
One
really
person?
set their
Is that
sights
one
onto
person?
landing into this hectic endgame, where do you play from? We saw Flat, who had the bridge. They called it, right? And they
Oh my
get
god,
that
Wolf?
high ground. They can shoot
Oh, Trinity
down. Wolves, your
down.
map
Okay,
one
Trinity
winners,
down.
are
It was
finding
one
themselves
person.
in a precarious situation.
Wolf
I mean,
is.
the fact that Flat
Oh
is
my
just
god.
looking down on everybody, right?
Hey, there's no way to hide.
You're just frying for a break, and you got
There's
that
no way to
guy
hide.
like that.
Everyone,
You're gonna be
no
able to keep
way.
farming with this rampage.
down,
No
Wolf
extended heavy mag necessary
eliminated.
here. While Wolves, by the way, do get eliminated. Your game 1 winners out of this lobby in 5th. But the altar is just so crazy for these
Flat
resets.
is
Flat
in
looking
a
at two
really
different
good
directions.
space. Oh no,
Shopify cleaning
Koiful
up
down
their
too.
life, seeing if they can perhaps get a reset.
Oh
As they
shit,
did lose out
can
on
they
their altar
reset?
originally playing underneath the
They're
bridge.
like in a
I
corner.
don't think we were able to pick up Koiful just yet. It's
No,
the Falcons
Falcon
opening
move.
fire, preventing
Don't.
the reset.
Oh my
It's
god.
only a
They're
matter of
teaming.
time before Shopify does fall, because
They're
also
teaming
Flat
against
is looking at them too.
Shopify.
Look at Falcons. Look at their position right now. They are farming 7 total KP in the
Yo,
second game
yo,
alone.
yo, yo, yo,
As
yo.
Waltzy,
Yo.
It's a strike
Yo.
to find Koiful a little bit of revenge.
Flat
While
should-
Flat do
Flat
pepper in
should,
some
like-
damage
Brutal.
onto them, but this entire
Brutal.
Let's shoot Falcon
Has been
instead
clear
of
for
the
Two members of
Shopify
Shopify
right now.
Rebellion
Because
were able to
Falcon
stave off
is in
that
a
push,
really good
right? You
place.
can see Zainu still on the ground. Zap is going to work towards that.
Oh my god,
pickup.
never
They're out of
mind.
sight from Flat. They're out of
GG
sight from
pushing-
Falcons.
GG
And
pushing
even
bridge.
Gladiators, who have roamed in from the southeastern side, have maybe gone under the radar the entire map, but they still
yeah.
have 4 kills. They have a power position, and so long as Team Falcons is preoccupied with
many
Flat and the
Watson
remnants
is
of
Yeah, there's gonna be
Shopify,
a
Game
fighting
can
on the
take a
bridge.
smart fight.
Okay, they're going in, they're going in. It's sheer out. They know one down.
They lose out on
They should go now.
Just
They
trying to
should-
see
they should
if
go
they
now.
can Get the res. They put down the TP. Falcons now. They
Oh my
fully
god.
send it onto Shopify. Who
Oh
are
my
still
god.
clinging on for
Shopify?
dear life. They
Koifa?
see the outside of this situation. The
Koifa
exit
run,
for
Koifa
exit threat,
run.
giving everybody
Koifa
the
down.
info while Guild is far
No,
Shopify
Shopify
get
Rebellion
cleaned up
down.
At the hands of Guild.
At
Some help
number
from
4.
Zayn. Some extra KP for Game and Gladiators.
So 3
And now
game-
we have our
3
last
teams
3 spots for game number 2.
Flat
Falcons go.
starting
Take-
in
take the
Viaduct
spot.
here towards the end. Game and
Falcon
Gladiators.
is
who
doing
decided,
really well
hey,
now.
We're going from uptown.
Oh,
we're
because the
making our
2
way
on
in,
top
and
is
Falcons,
fighting?
who have
Okay,
had one
they can just
heck of a
peek.
game two. The
Can
trades
just
going
peek.
back and forth.
Let's go, let's go. It's a Falcon game, I think.
Down into the final 2. It is only Game and Gladiators
Possible.
standing in
Possibly.
their way for a map
Both
1 kill.
both teams has the
Reeling
same
back,
composition.
setting up some of their own
Wait.
Yeah, the teams on the bridge, they all need to go down.
The trades come through, and Guild and Hal stand
Oh my
firm.
god.
They swing around Black.
Guild
No one
Guild
behind,
versus
and they take it. Team
Falcon.
Falcons are your winners.
Falcon 1.
Opening the door
GG's.
real quick and waiting to
GG's.
put down the
Okay, I need to go.
exhibit. They go
Bye guys, see you guys
hard.
later.
They
Bye guys na.
Bye, bruh. See you soon. See you soon.
See you later.
A match for the Falcons.
Alright
who,
guys, I'll be back
despite
later.
having a
Yeah,
strong
GG.
start
I'll be
in
back
map number
later
1,
in
walk
1
away with
hour
a
and
13th place in 4
something,
kills.
maybe.
But then
I'll
say,
be back.
you know what, we've got this.
See you guys
We were your
later. We have
Scrim
6
Reapers
maps,
as we
so
set
4
practice
maps to
coming into
go,
this
and then
land.
we also
We
have
hoisted
the
trophies.
second
We know
group.
how to do it. We just have to
which
lock
will
it in
start
and
at
to drop
11. I'll be
15
watching that as well.
kills.
So it's a long day. It's fine. I'll be back. Yeah. I'll be back and we're gonna stream until like late night, until like 2, 3 o'clock. I think.
The entirety of the
See you guys
south side of the
later.
district
Bye
and
bye.
took the craziest rotation in from the west.
I'm like facepalm.
また後でね。1時間ぐらいね。バイバイ。今日はね、めっちゃ長い時間、長い配信かもね。なんかグループと2つあるから、2時とか3時までね。またね、バイバイ。See you guys later.
Yeah.